Red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light.
Well, folks, as you know, I'm a good old Scotsman, so grab your drink, pull up a chair, and get ready for another episode of the Soul Sessions, of course, featuring myself, Soul. But with me today, as you can see, he's a sexy, bald man, the manager of managers, Big Manager Blanch. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, buddy. Thanks for having me on. How's it going?
Oh, very well, my friend. You know, it's a late Scottish night at the time we record this. Raw's in Glasgow. We've got a victory for the Scots, our TV taping. So all feelings are great around. But of course, Blanche, you know, as I do with this show, every guest has a story. Every story has a beginning. Blanche, how did your story begin as a wrestling fan?
Wow, as a wrestling fan, I'm quite old, right? So my wrestling thing started when I was at school, and there used to be like these WWF trading cards. Really old school ones. They were like blue with like the ring thing on them, and they were class, right? So they were flying around school. I got into them, who's these guys and stuff. Then I started watching wrestling. I remember like SummerSlam '92 was a big deal at the time. I was not like everyone else who was a Hogan guy or Warrior guy. I was a Bulldog guy. I was a Jake the Snake Roberts guy. So I like the ones that are a little bit different. I love the Intercontinental bout. So whenever we played that wrestling at school and stuff, I was like, I'm the IC champ. I'm the Intercontinental champion. I didn't care about the heavyweight. Didn't care. So that's how it started and just carried on. And then I kind of like, you grow up a little bit and came out of it and then found it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't watched wrestling for years and years at all. I missed the Attitude Era. I missed all of this stuff growing up and being a teenager and stuff. And one night in 2000, I got home from work really late. And there was only 4 channels on telly then. So I was flicking through and there was nothing on. So when I left, I got to the last channel, which was channel 4. I just left it on. I was making something to eat. And that image of the Big Show and the Undertaker, came up on channel 4. The old image of WWE coming on. And it was Rumble 2000 night. And the first thing I saw was a promo of Mick Foley and Triple H about to fight at the Garden in the street fight. And it was, I knew Cactus Jack Manson from WCW because I used to watch WCW as a kid as well, like back in the early 90s. So I didn't know Mankind was, nothing. And I watched this promo and Mankind took his mask off and Cactus Jack t-shirt. I was like, I know him. And I watched the match and it blew my mind, and that was it then. I was like, I went back and watched everything I could get my hands on. Literally tapes off Friends, everything. It was all VHS and stuff. And so from that moment, I was like, wrestling. And I used to train a lot in the gym and stuff back then. And I met some guy who knew a wrestler. Come to a show, come watch the show, come meet the guys. So I went to this random show in Worcester. Met a guy. He said, come to a show on this date. We'll get you in the ring. So I got in the ring. I got beat up for 2 hours. Shook everybody's hand, and that was on a Saturday. On a Wednesday, I had a phone call saying, do you want to be in a Rumble in a show in Birmingham on Friday? And so I did a Rumble 6 days after getting in the ring for the first time, and it was kind of it then.
Good.
So it was
Good Lord, buddy.
There was hardly any schools back then and stuff. I used to go and train at Steve Logan's school every now and then, but I learned at shows before wrestling shows. I learned in the ring beforehand with loads of guys and just picked up stuff and then got on the road with them and just listened to everything. And that was what it was. It was no school for me. It was just like on the job, let's go kind of thing. So it was crazy.
Hey, sometimes, the best way to learn is just getting in there. No textbooks, nothing like that. Physical experience is the best way to learn things. I mean, insane, Blanche, insane kind of origin story for yourself. But I want to touch upon, obviously, you mentioned the trading cards. And obviously, we've seen in modern era, collecting those things are quite expensive for people. Obviously, cost of living, things go up in prices. But I want to know, if out of all the trading cards, if you could have one autographed signature of any WWE, WCW, any wrestler, you could have one of their autographed cards, which one would it be and why?
Jake the Snake or Roddy Piper. Jake the Snake. I was a big Piper fan after when I realized what was going on and stuff, and I think Piper's one of the greatest heels ever. I love Piper still to this day. I was actually lucky enough to get time to get to know him a little bit online and stuff. I did a podcast a few years ago and stuff, and he had retweeted and sent some messages, and he was lovely. He was really cool. But Piper or Jake, because I think Jake's a god, isn't he? So
absolutely, mate. You got it there, and as well, and obviously Jake, his promo style as well. It's iconic. The fact is that with promos, obviously you could show happiness, anger, any type of emotion, but with Jake's is that never raised his voice, always quiet, sombersome. And I think that adds on to it as well. Even the fear factor is key in it as well, because it's not rage, it's just sinister. Why is it that you think Jake the Snake's promo style is still, studied to this very day?
It's because he didn't shout or anything, because he wanted you to listen. So he made you listen, which made you look at the screen and get closer. So he had your full attention. And everything he said he was going to do, he did. He never lied in his promos. That's how it was. But the whole psychology of what Jake was it's not been matched. He's that, and that's why, like, you listen to all the stories of all the old vets and stuff, and all the old guys like Undertakers and stuff. Where'd you get your stuff from, Jake? He has so much influence on everybody from that era, just because of the way he was and the way he saw wrestling. And I think that's something that's missing, is how people see wrestling very differently. And everyone's like, well, you have to see it this way. No, you have to see in little bits of different things. So
a whole new light, brother, indeed, and it's insane about that. Obviously, you touch upon your love for the Intercontinental Championship, the championship that's obviously still around with us to this very day, but harkens back to the days of Pat Patterson, to Brett, Bulldog, Owen, even the modern era. It's an insane championship that's lasted so long.
Yeah.
For yourself, Blanch, obviously such a fan of that belt. Why is it that you feel like that belt is, so popular with a lot of people? Is it just the legacy, the people who have held it, or what has established itself as the Workman's Championship?
I think it's that. You could see that the guys that had that were having the better matches. Brett was obviously synonymous with it at that point. Mr. Perfect, who was incredible. When Bulldog won it, was huge, wasn't it? When he won it in '92, it was a really big deal. It's just something about that bout. I don't know what it is. And obviously the last couple of years, it was back to the level where when Gunther had it, it was back to that level of this bout's really important. And the stepping stone that they say it was, sometimes it overshadowed. RVD did it with the TV title in ECW. He made that bout more important than the heavyweight. If you put more into it, the person has to make the bout. The bout doesn't make the person. So the IC bout, it always seems to be the guys that wanted to push and go, right, I might not be the heavyweight bout champion, but I'm going to make it mean more. And that's what they did back then. And it was lost for a little period, but obviously Gunther then brought it back. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He really brought that back for 666-day reign. I mean, really brought back the true prevalence with fans as well. And obviously that belt has had a lot of designs, from the classic design, the white strap, blue strap, white strap, obviously the oval design, and the design we have now. Is there a particular design that really stands out to you, Blanch, as your favorite IC title design?
Yeah, the original white strap one is just beautiful. There was a yellow one as well at one point.
Yeah, Warrior had a yellow one.
So, and there was a light blue one, wasn't there? I think was that Warrior as well.
Warrior.
The white one. Cody brought it back for a little bit, didn't he? A few years ago. Yeah, beautiful. What about?
It is an exceptional belt, and it's had a lot of people that have held that some people consider underrated reigns. I know it lasted one day, but I love Zack Ryder's reign just because of the moment of him winning it at WrestleMania.
I watched it recently. What a pop! That's what it's about, isn't it? It doesn't matter. He had it one day. He had it at WrestleMania. It was huge. So
yes, it truly exceptional. Is there an underrated IC champion in your mind?
I think Miz gets forgotten about sometimes in conversations. I think Miz gets forgotten a lot. He's so good. Great champion. Steamboat was brilliant. Mr. Perfect was just
so many great names as well, and it's a belt that's still around with us, and you gotta love it. Obviously, Blanch, you mentioned starting out in an era which a lot of people won't remember of, before Facebook, YouTube, flip phones, cameras, and all that galore. But obviously, our scene is the way it is now to compare it to the past. When I speak to some people, it's like night and day. For yourself, what was it like experiencing British wrestling? Back in, some people say, the dark ages.
It was very different when I started. It's a lot more open now. Obviously, everyone knows a bit more stuff, and everyone's a bit more clued up. But it genuinely was like a little secret society when I started. If I was a face, I travelled with faces. If I was a heel, I travelled with heels. If I wrestled under a mask, I wore the mask into the building. It was a little secret society, and it was tough. It was tough because I got beat up for the first year on shows in front of people, proper beat up. A lot of stuff back then doesn't fly anymore. Everything's changed, and I think it's changed in a good way. It's a lot safer, and wrestling's obviously booming because of it at the moment, because of the way everything is and the way life is and stuff. So, but no, it was very, very different. But I think learning wise, you learn a little bit more on the fly as well. School's a great way to learn, and it's proven at the moment. The schools, and especially in Wales, are just tip top, right? They're the best. But not knocking like the old way of how some guys were taught, and the art of kayfabe and stuff, and because that's kind of a little forgotten art now sometimes. Because it's kind of not needed, but it is, but it isn't. It's one of those debatable things. But yeah, wrestling back in the day was very different. Like, I always keep saying, I started wrestling when it was black and white, right? Because it was a real different thing, Matches weren't. There wasn't as many moves as there are now, put it that way, because they didn't exist. A DDT was a finish, and that was only one in a match, So wrestling's evolved, but it has to evolve. It's one of those entertainment things that has to evolve. All entertainment has to evolve, and wrestling's done it perfectly. But there's still like nuggets of golden stuff from back then that you could use today. So it's very different. But I think now wrestling, it's a mecca. This is the best it's ever been.
100%, absolutely. With how much money people are making from the companies like AEW signing with HBO Max and WWE being on Netflix, and like the vastness of it is amazing, and it's just a whole new era for wrestling as well. But obviously, storing information and maintaining records is something that is really important, because if you don't retain the past, then it's lost, and you don't be able to look at something and learn. And obviously, when I do my research, I like to use old TK's favorite website, Cage Match, and obviously it documents your career back to 2006, but you started a lot earlier than that. Yeah. How important is it, do you think, to the best of fans and wrestlers' knowledge to retain some of these old classic stuffs in the days when the internet wasn't around?
I wish I'd had. I wish I'd have realised that I was going to be doing this for a long time and really wrote everything down. I know a lot of guys now do, which is amazing. I know Jericho did a whole book on it, didn't he? Brilliant. But I wish I'd had. I probably forgotten more matches than I can remember. A lot of things come up nowadays. I'm like, I think I might have wrestled him, and it turns out I did. Can't remember it. So I wish I'd had logged more stuff, because, like I said before, back when I wrestled, there was no phones, no social media. Shows were hardly ever filmed, because it was all like VHS and big old camcorders and stuff, and so it was never really. I've hardly got anything. So I really wish I had. My son doesn't believe half the stuff I've done as well, so that's the reason. One of the reasons why I came back to wrestling, he didn't believe it. So I wish I'd had more to show him, but it is what it is. We get on with it now, and let's worry about what's going on right now. So
yeah, of course, absolutely. You got to always move forward. You can love the past, you can document the past, but you can't live in it. If you live in it, then you're never going to advance forward and do new opportunities. But to quickly touch upon the past there, Blanch, is there a particular memory, moment, or show that maybe people might not know about but holds a close memory for yourself?
Oh, there's loads. Memory wise, I got to do a couple of shows with Tracy Smothers. That was amazing. They were some of the best days, because I got to spend like a couple of weeks with him at a time. So he was brilliant. Became very important. Probably that. Yeah, it's got to be that. That's the most. I worked for Celtic Wrestling back in the day as well, and when Celtic was a real good point, and I had some really good work there, and I loved being around the guys there and stuff. I really enjoyed those days because it was such a group, a close knit group of guys, and like I still talk to them now. And we recently had to go to a funeral because one of them passed away. And it was it was a funeral wake and like a reunion in a way as well. So it was really cool because everyone was still everyone. So it proves that there's a massive bond in wrestling still. It is a brotherhood and a sisterhood, and we should all look after each other. And it's those moments that really make it really cool. Like I got to speak to Tracy like a few days before he passed away as well. So that was really tough. But yeah, it's the people. It's not always about the memories and stuff and the matches and stuff. I think I'm the guy that loves the people, and that's one of the things I missed the most when I wasn't doing it. So, yes, I think the people are the most important bit.
Absolutely, mate. The bonds you make with people are something that can last a lifetime. We see fans nowadays are like, my company's better than your company, and it's just like, okay, here we go again. But that bond that you make with somebody in the ring, or the stories, the travels, fans may not understand it. For yourself, Blanche, what is the true meaning and the importance of making that bond with somebody within a professional wrestling as a wrestler that fans may not understand?
Yeah, it's it's weird. I think I think Mick Foley said it about Terry Funk. The closer they became, the harder they hit each other, and the harder they hit each other, the more money they made. Genuinely, that's true, right? It is genuinely true. The better you trust somebody that you work with, you have better matches, and then the fans are happier. So it is the closer you are with people, and you get to trust them, and you get to work out how they are, and it gets to the point where it's like automatic and stuff. And that's when it's magic, because you don't have to really think, and they're going to be exactly where they're going to be, and you just trust them. The trust thing's huge because you're giving each other your body. And one wrong move, it's the end, isn't it? So, yeah, it's the trust thing's really, really, really huge.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great bond, and there's so many great camaraderies within wrestling. When I see it I could go to a deathmatch show and see people use light tubes and all this thing, and then afterwards it's chug a few beers, have a good laugh, and it's that amazing bond. I wouldn't do that because I like my skin intact. But digressing on that point. Obviously, Blanche, you mentioned you take this break away from wrestling, and according to Cage Match, it was from 2009 till 2020, if that is correct. Hey, Cage Match, you got something right. Well done. You can have another.
I think it was a bit late. I managed for a bit after the wrestling, so I managed in Celtic till about 2011-ish. They don't log any manager stuff on there, see.
Cage Match. But I want to talk about that breakaway. What were the reasons, and what was it like seeing the wrestling scene, especially in Britain, evolve over that time period?
I took a break away because I became ill. I've got this crazy condition that took over my life. I'm quite happy to talk about it, so don't worry. I got ill, and I wasn't able to do it, and I just needed to go a step away and sort myself out. I thought I'll be back in a bit. It was a long bit, but I came back in the end. So while that was happening, wrestling was starting to really develop and stuff. So the last few shows I did in Celtic, so I was managing the guy in the main event, and then people on the opening matches were like Mark Andrews and Pete Dunne and Wild Boar and Flash. They were doing the opening matches and stuff. So during that time I disappeared, these guys have started building British wrestling, I remember Trent Seven before he had a beard and everything. So, you know what I mean? So, so it really developed, and I think Finn Balor was over here quite a bit then, and he wasn't when I started. So it started to really go, and wrestling promotions started popping up more and more and more. So when I was away, wrestling really blossomed, really, really, really blossomed, and it was I had to get back in at some point. I just didn't expect it to be as long as layoff as it was. But no, wrestling did real good over those periods, and obviously everything grew anyway. So the NXT UK turned up, so over here became really huge, didn't it? Just as I was about to come back, I was like, it's time. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, man, as well. And those names you mentioned, Mark Andrews and the Flash have been on this show, as well as Lyle Bohr. You mentioned obviously Trent Seven, Finn Balor, all those kind of individuals, really essential to this rise of British wrestling. I wasn't watching back then. I started in 2019. I started at the end of the 2010s, but for that early 2010 period, for somebody who lived it and experienced it and saw everyone doing it, what was it just generally like to see these new, fresh faces coming into British wrestling, like the Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan, Bohr, Trent?
Yeah, it was crazy because like the guys I used to run around with as well, they all ended up going to be in NXT UK and stuff. So it was great because I'd known the guys and I'd known them for a long time. And it was like their hard work had finally paid off, that they were being recognised, and there was an NXT UK now, and Britain was finally getting the what it deserved when it comes to wrestling, and Europe and stuff, because everyone was traveling everywhere, weren't they? So yeah, it's really huge and really big, and I loved it. I loved because I love wrestling, and when wrestling's thriving, as a fan, you gotta love it, and you've got to be. This is what we want. So it was really good, and I started becoming a real big fan again. My boy was just born then as well, and I'm trying to push him into watching wrestling, and yeah, so it's just been perfect, the whole growth of the British wrestling. There's always those little down patches and stuff, and but it's been a constant growth to this point, where you look at now, like the WWE roster, how many Europeans are on the roster now? Or how many Europeans are in America and they're making a full-time living out of it. So there's so many full-time professional wrestlers in the UK now, when it wasn't before. To be a full-time professional wrestler when I started, there was only a handful. Now it's just huge.
It's insane as well, and I feel like especially a lot of international fans and wrestlers, they always do at one place, one British company that really brought it to the mainstream, and with what it did with its identity, with its talent, with what they produced, was obviously Progress Wrestling. A company that a lot of people feel like got the strong style with like that Sex Pistol punk rock aesthetic with it. For yourself, Blanche, if Progress didn't exist, how do you feel British wrestling would be in this current time period?
I think it'd still be at the point it is, because of the amount of other amazing companies there are now. The amount of companies that have come through that were around anyway, like Chaos and stuff, and then you got Rev Pro, you got ICW up north of New in Scotland. So they're always going to be about, and they've been about for a long time now. So there's quite a few that have got steady fan bases, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. I think there's a couple coming back, and there's been some going away and stuff. And yeah, so I think the way British wrestling is right now, there was always going to be those little ones that just kept going and getting bigger and bigger, and they have. Without those, then we wouldn't have the scene we would, and the progresses wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It speaks to the identity and the strength of our talent, of what they were able to produce. Obviously, touch upon NXT UK in a wee bit. I've had people who have been on the roster, who have held championships, who've worked backstage for it. It was a brand that could, maybe not given the many opportunities that it could, but it produced the best talent it can. Memories, lovely belts as well. I love those fucking belts. They're so stunning and amazing. But as a fan, obviously, Blanche, there's a lot of people that say NXT UK like drained or killed the British scene, or it hampered people's careers. I don't think that, because we've got people on the main roster now succeeding, people in Welsh, English scene wrestling. Why do you think NXT UK has such a negative connotation with some elements of wrestling culture?
I think it's because we're so used to our guys being independent wrestlers, and they couldn't go other places. So we want to see those guys traveling everywhere, and as a fan, you want to see them in your shows every week like they were. Then they'd stop, they'd disappear. They came just for television, just for WWE. It's probably that. I thought it was a really good thing, because it gives guys the opportunity to make a proper living out of it. They were safe. They had probably the best medical and stuff they could get now. So if they got hurt, it was all dealt with. I think there's a lot of positives to go from NXT UK. Obviously, it's becomes pretty real then, doesn't it? It's your job. A lot of stuff has to change. and people had the opportunities, and a lot of people that had the opportunities are still doing pretty good from it. So yeah, it's a rough and smooth thing, NXT UK, because I think timing was the problem as well with it. Obviously, COVID came in and kind of wrecked it a little bit. Imagine if they didn't have COVID for those 18 months, I think it would have been an even bigger thing. But then the evolution of the business of WWE changed drastically as well. So I think there's a lot of factors. I think it was a good thing because it showed off that British talent is that good, that it could have a television program. And lots of people have got still going from it and became household names, which they wouldn't have done before. So I think it's still pretty big.
Absolutely. I mean, you see it's the fruits of the labor of NXT UK carried on across every aspect of wrestling. WWE, you've got Gunther, you've got Tyler Bate, you've got, Flash Morgan Webster, Mark Andrews, Danny Luna, Wild Boar killing it in the independent scene. And obviously Danny's in TNA. You even look at AEW, you have Tony Storm, who was the second ever NXT Women's Championship, who's just beating the absolute bloody piss out of Mariah May in LA, as you do, I guess. It is a great brand. I think it was. And I think people just have that weird negative connotation about it is because it was different. And obviously it was, WWE's bad for some people, but it's not. It gave people those opportunities. For yourself, Blanche, who in your mind do you think got the best out of NXT UK, either where it's just an evolution of their character or the opportunities they were provided? Who do you think is the unsung hero of NXT UK?
Probably Pete Dunne. I think he became the biggest star out of NXT UK. Rhea Ripley did pretty good though, didn't she?
Just a bit, yeah.
I think what NXT UK is gave everyone the platform to show off the style of British wrestling, what it was, and British strong style that became a branded thing and stuff. But I think Pete Dunne probably came out pretty good from it. He's an exceptional talent. And what he does on television now is different to everyone else. Mm-hmm. He's still doing his same thing, which it's amazing. So I think it gave awareness to the world that British wrestling is still a huge thing. And a lot of American wrestlers don't like doing British wrestling. So I think so.
Is what it is. But I mean, hey, he's going to kill it in Bloodsport during Mania weekend. So that'll be fun to see. Oof. Someone's fingers are getting snapped for sure. Obviously, well, Blanche, you talk about your return to the business, obviously coming back to it. I want to know the steps to it. Was it just, you seen someone or spoke to somebody and thought, I'm in the good condition I can right now, let's give it a shot again?
Yeah, a few things happened in my life and I was feeling like I wanted to do it again. I felt like it was missing in my life. It was mainly the people I was missing, the social aspect, and missing the guys and stuff that you became friends for years and stuff, So my son didn't believe me at all that I'd wrestled ever. He was adamant that Daddy didn't do that. Daddy couldn't do it. COVID had just started and my life had changed and I was like, right, I think I need to focus on something. And a friend of mine who is no longer with us, she said, why don't you go back to wrestling? You talk about it still. Why do you go back to it? So I had that thing. Like, yes, I do. But I had a lot to do still. I was a very big man. I was very overweight. And I needed something. And I just met some guys and stuff in a local gym, a local wrestling school, sorry. And I was like, come on down. And I went down there, said hello to everyone. Didn't get in the ring or anything, just looked at it for a little bit. Then gradually got myself in the ring, decided I needed to sort the physical aspect of my life out. Did that, and then COVID then hit. So it was kind of a waiting game then for another 18 months. But it was still, let's do this. I'm not stopping it. I'm still doing it. And then finally we came out of COVID and the opportunity came up and I didn't kind of grabbed it with both hands and let's do it. I actually met the Brilliance during this time. So that's where it all started really. Just meeting the right people that are in the area and where I was, and it kind of like got the bug back. I mean, it's addictive. It is. Wrestling's very addictive. It's addictive when you're a fan. It's even more addictive when you've done it. That's why Ric Flair said he'd never retire. It's one of those things. I've said that many times. I'll never retire. I've stopped. I've gone away for a little bit, but I've always come back. So, yeah. So that's what happened. I decided, right, this is something I need to do for my own mental well-being, if anything, as well. I've always felt better and healthier when I've been around it. So it was something that I needed that I didn't think I did. So.
Hey, you just didn't get a bug. You got a full infestation, just really driving that passion over. I mean, you gotta love it. But obviously, the scene that probably you're most familiar with, and I'm familiar with people who've been on, is obviously the Welsh scene. What a scene! You know, I'll put my hands up. I may be a Scotsman. I may be biased with my own countrymen, but Wales, it's the place you want to be. There's so many great things going on. It makes the best wrestlers as well. Blanche, what is it that you think about Wales in itself that produces such great wrestlers?
It's become a little mecca, isn't it? To be honest, in the UK, I think it's down to the Welsh people as well. They are very passionate about everything they do. Obviously, I've been living here for 15 years now, and it's definitely home now. It's very much home, and they are very passionate. When it comes to like other sports like rugby, it's like religion down here, and I think that transcends into anyone that wants to do anything in Wales. So the passion's huge, and team that up with amazing coaches and some great schools and good talent that have actually been and done it. And I think that's your answer. The schools in Wales are brilliant. There's no argument in that. The schools are great. They're run by great people that have been there and done it, and they've just managed to find these amazing students. You know, because to have a good school, you need good students as well. So they found amazing students that love wrestling and want to do it, and it's just been a complete snowball effect since COVID. Wales has just become stronger and stronger, but you've still got those massive fundamentals and stuff that everyone knows about Wales as well. So Welsh wrestling is still Welsh wrestling. It's running shows like every day, touring all the time with great talent on, and they're taking some of the young guys in as well. But the schools like the new waves of the world are just rolling out these amazing talents because they've got really good teachers there, and you can't deny that they are that good teachers. So that's what it is. It's just something about passionate people in Wales that's transcended into wrestling.
It really does, and I love the camaraderie down there. Just everyone's helping each other out on all aspects, and I love it. And it produces such great talent. You know, Leon Kay, Shane Hooker, Aluna, Lucia Lee, Rain Leverkusen. It's all insane, the amount of people that come out there. But one we have to talk about, someone we know, both of us know. You know, I've known him since the first season of this show. You've known him because you led him to greatness. Some even say brillianceness. How did you meet James Ellis?
Wow. Literally, I was just going to the school that he was first training at, and a friend of mine said, come along and say hello to the boys. And the first guy that was there was James. Didn't speak much the first time, and then conversation changed, and yeah, it was kind of those things. Who's that bald guy? Who's that bald guy? And then we just clicked as friends. And all this coming out of COVID, and we literally, I think for 18 months on FaceTime and group chats every night for the whole of COVID. We talked wrestling till stupid o'clock, got very drunk in our own homes, just talking about wrestling or watching wrestling together over screens like this. And that was it. Then it just became this huge thing, and all these ideas of what he wanted to do and stuff just came about, and look what he's done. Just look what he's done. That's the Brill. That's what he's like. He loves this. He loves it. He's not many times you see people that go, he loves this. This is him. and he's that one guy that I've met that it's him. Yeah, so I'm very happy to just be here to watch, to be honest. But I get to be part of it as well. So
he's done a lot of crazy things. Even when I first met him, all the way back in the first season of this show, to what he's done now, two-time New Wave champion, Slam Master champion, Rev Pro debut, Riot Cabaret tag team champion. The list goes on and on and on and on. I would end up rolling my whole tongue off if I kept going. But I need that. Actually, this is how I do my thing here. So I kind of need that intact. But obviously, Blanch, we talked about you're a manager as well. You're a good manager. You're a manager, obviously, to the brilliance. But it's weird. I think, especially in the UK scene, I can't think of many managers. I think of Denise in ICW. I think of Amira for Michael Oku. Maybe I'm just, old in my age and this thing's going. I can't think of many others. Do you think wrestling managers is a lost art?
Yes, and it has been for a while. There was that golden era of wrestling where there was loads of them and they were just as important. And Bobby Heenan is the greatest talent I've ever seen perform. He is my ultimate hero. And I never brought him up in before because we're talking wrestlers. Bobby Heenan's just this entertaining genius that was part of wrestling that could do everything. You're not meant to like him as a child, but you can't help but laugh at him. So that's what Bobby Heenan did. I believe it's a dying thing. I'm not sure why, because a good manager is a good heater, and it can help young talent a lot as well. I've always loved the art form, and that's how I actually kind of started. I started doing a lot of that as well back when I first started wrestling. So I was getting manager jobs as well to get me more around the ring and do a little bit more. And if I wasn't on a show, I'd manage somebody and I can get on the show still. So I've always really loved it. Plus, you get to cause more trouble, get loads of heat, and you don't get touched most of the time. So it was always quite the coolest option. I love it. I love managing. I've been very lucky to be part of some really good stuff. And over the last 18 months or so, I've been really lucky to be a part of some real cool stuff. And I think this is my best. I'm doing my best work now after all this time and having the most fun. I think that's the most important thing for me at the moment at my age, is having the most fun. And yeah, managing is, I think it's because it came off telly so much. I probably digressed then, didn't I? It came off telly so much, and like managers became valets more, and they didn't become part of the matches. And then Heyman came back, and he was just an advocate. He never actually got physical and did stuff that was cheating. He was just a speaker. And it kind of those personalities kind of didn't exist in wrestling anymore. And I think that's why. I don't know, because like I love watching managers part of the show because they can do things that wrestlers can't. So it gives that little different act in a show where there's 6-7 matches, but that one match with a manager in is going to be different because there's that other person. So I think it gives it a different dynamic. And yeah, I don't know why. I think people just didn't want to pay for them. I guess money got tight and managers are too expensive. So yeah, it baffles me really, because it was such a big thing. Think about all the managers there were at one point in WWE. There was like 10, 15 of them, and they're all stars. You know, you Heenan, you had Mr. Fuji, like Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. You know, there was like Lou Albano. There was just loads, like Grand Wizard, Freddie Blassie. There were so many. Sensational Sherry, seriously amazing, the greatest female manager ever. There were so many of them, but then it just kind of like stopped, didn't it?
It's weird that it's integral, because a good manager can make a talent, and there's so many memorable moments from that as well. I mean, obviously, you manage the brilliance, you manage James Ellis, and he's been successful. Obviously, he's won the Slam Masters Wrestling Championship, so he's done very well for himself and other opportunities as well. But obviously, there's always more. There's always more. I mean, Heenan had a family. Can we have a Blanch family? Is there any particular people you want to add under your wing?
I'd love a Blanch family. That'd be great. Currently, I'm gonna have to go with my other brother, the Taylor May man. You'll love that. Taylor Man, James Taylor. I think I'd love to manage him. I think I'd really love to manage him. I think his new stuff is brilliant. Oh, that's a tough one. A lot of guys, I don't need some managers anymore. They're so good, aren't they? Oh, that's a real tough question. So I think. Do you know what? I'd love to manage a tag team.
Oh,
I really would love to manage a tag team. I've not done it for so long, and the blockbusters at the moment are pretty class. I'd love to manage the blockbusters. I think that would be brilliant. I think that's a very JJ Dillon-ish, and yeah, I'd love to manage the blockbusters. That would be really cool.
oh, that would be
They're
quite.
exceptional talent. That would be talent because they work very old school as well. So I'd love that.
It's going to be quite a dominating performance there, mate. If you can get that agreement going ahead, I mean, that's just
Oh,
the fun of wrestling. You never know.
I'd love that. Yeah, that would be real cool to manage tag team managing is even better. So.
Oh God, hey, absolutely. Obviously, Slam Masters we've kind of touched upon as well, and there's been quite interesting things going on in Slam Masters. Obviously, there's quite a picture with you and Mr. Danhausen as well. So I want to know what it was like meeting Danhausen.
He was brilliant. What a professional, lovely gentleman. Yeah, he was ace to work. The story behind the Danhausen match is I wasn't booked. I'll tell you the story. I wasn't actually booked. So my condition came back last year. And I said I couldn't do it. I was very, very ill. It was really bad at one point. And I spoke to the promoter. I said, I can't do the show. I'm too ill. I'm probably never going to perform again. And he convinced me to have that one match with Danhausen, come and work that match, and then say goodbye to everyone, and you go off into the sunset. Great way to finish. Because I've always wanted the proper end, right? So I was like, okay. I thought about it, and like 2 or 3 days beforehand, I'm not even on a graphic for it. See, that's why I'm not on the graphics. A couple of days before, I went, okay, I'm going to do it. I was in no physical shape. I was very, very unwell, and I did that match, and I said goodbye to everyone. I was like, this is it. I'm done. I'd secretly just said goodbye to the people I wanted to. And then I watched it back, and I had that little Undertaker placebo of like, I can't finish on that. I can't. I looked unhealthy. I looked terrible. I could barely move. He looked after me. He was great. But I was like, yeah, I can't finish on that one. So that's when everything changed. I had a proper moment of clarity. It's because of Danhausen. I actually spoke to him about it when we saw him a few weeks ago. And I told him what happened and stuff. And yeah, he was really cool, and got to see him before he left, and he said some nice words. And yeah, he's a very, very good guy. And yeah, he actually means a lot to me, more than he would ever know, just from that previous match. So yeah, so Danhausen's very important. He's a lovely bloke as well.
You know, he says it himself. He's very nice and maybe not so evil. Maybe not so evil in the end.
Yeah.
Great guy.
He's a genius. He's a genius. He really, really is a genius.
He's a sinister one. He's a sinister one, mate. Absolutely. You know, obviously Danhausen is currently signed to AEW, and I know Blanche, you spoke about your childhood love for WCW. An interesting fact is that this coming Wednesday, AEW Dynamite will have the same amount of TV episodes as WCW Monday Nitro at 286 episodes, and it's kind of insane to think about it. As a fan, obviously, did you ever think in your lifetime you would have seen another wrestling company really be on that echelon of still the second best promotion like WCW was?
I thought TNA was pretty close at one point. TNA was really, really good at one point. They had a great roster, and they were putting on great shows. But I didn't think there'd be anyone with like the production value and the size of like the AEW's kind of come in with. AEW went straight in with the same kind of production size and stuff. I didn't think that would happen. No, because WWE kind of like just had everything, didn't they? They're such a big giant of stuff. But it's good that there is another option now for the guys. It's all about the guys making money end of the day and having jobs and stuff. So it is good that there is Is AEW sometimes a bit questionable? Yeah, it is a little bit. You know, am I a huge fan? No. But I'm a fan of some stuff on there, but not all of it. It's down to opinion, isn't it? Are they going to knock WWE? No. No, they're not. Let's be realistic. WWE is on the money and huge. It's a very there is lots of levels when it comes to where stuff is at the moment, and I still prefer TNA. So yeah, so it is great. It's great for the guys. It is great for business, and obviously, has AEW turned up mean WWE had to up their game? Maybe. Is it why everything changed? Who knows? But it's always good. I think as a wrestling fan, you can never have too much wrestling. It's like this thing. Like I like cake, right? I love cake, and you can get them from lots of different places. It don't mean they're bad. It's just they come from different places, and you like which ones you like, don't you? And I think that's the same with wrestling. You know, you can like a bit of everything. It's all the same. So yeah, I think it's just the way it is. I think wrestling's always going to be this huge thing. It doesn't matter where you're getting it from. You can like it all. You don't have to pick sides anymore.
No, I've always described wrestling like a pick and mix. You can always put what you want in your bag and enjoy the flavors and leave, the licorice to the side if that's not your thing.
Exactly. It is exactly that.
But some people don't see it that way.
No, I don't know what the heat is. Like AEW fans hating WWE. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Because they're afraid of grass and they want to get out of the basement. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Stop it.
It's the best answer I can give, me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's weird things all around. But obviously, UK wrestling has had such a great shine of it. AEW, All In Wembley, they've done it 2 years in a row. WWE has done Money in the Bank in the O2 and Principality Stadium for the original Clash at the Castle.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, WrestleMania, bring it to Wembley Stadium. It's the biggest. And yes, you could do that. I think you should go back to Principality Stadium because obviously the Welsh team is so on fire. But I want to ask you this, Blanche. Obviously, Mania weekend is such a big thing. A lot of independent shows going on and on and on. But do you think there's a possibility, if a Mania weekend does happen, that some Welsh companies, if they band together, can maybe run an arena-type show or a big super show?
Yeah, I don't see why they couldn't at all. I think that'd be perfect for them. And with the fact there's the 2 New Wave schools as well, and they've got the New Wave Midlands, there's 3 training schools / promotions in one go that could put on an incredible show. With all the cool thing about Wales is as well is a lot of talent work everywhere. The big talents, they get to work on all of these shows. There's at least 1 or 2 wrestling shows every week in Wales. Every week. Fans have got spoiled at the moment. There's wrestling everywhere in Wales. So they could definitely do something huge for WrestleMania if it was in Principality. I was at the Clash in the Castle, and it was excellent. It was a real good, proper good day. I don't see why they couldn't. There's so much talent and stuff, and like the Welsh scene is huge. Anything like that would just bring more publicity to it. Put more people in schools, put more people in seats. So yeah, I think it'd be great. WWE Rub would be brilliant for all the schools in Wales.
Absolutely, and it'd be really great to see, because I know WWE would just make the tickets £1,000, and it's like I can just go to this awesome New Wave or amazing super show for like half the price, and that's the joy of it as well. Because I do love the independent scene, and it's so entertaining and fun, but people need to do it more. I don't know why, they just want to spend all the money on the big shows.
Yeah, I prefer indie wrestling as well. I really do. I always have done. It's more intimate when you're there.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love it. It's an absolute bash.
Spy to see somebody when you're a million miles away, but still pay 300 quid for a ticket. It's more intimate, isn't it? It's more you're part of that. Then 300 people in a room, you're part of that 300 people.
Absolutely, man. As well, Blanche, mate, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the Soul Sessions, man. Such a lovely chat here with you. But obviously, before we wrap up, 2 final questions. One, you and James have conquered Slam Masters and even a wee bit of Brilliance Wrestling as it is now. Is there any company that you would love to take James to next and conquer?
Or anywhere. I think we provide something very different with our little act, a little Crino and Victory act that we are. We are proper Jack Sparrow and Gibbs. We are. Take what you can, give nothing back, and all that lot. I think we could literally do that act anywhere. It's whether if people want it, but and anywhere we went to Ignite in London. That was great. We wrestled there. He wrestled there, and that was a really cool show to do. And we're currently in charge of Brilliance Pro Wrestling, which is pretty entertaining at the moment. He's a proper boss. He is. I think we could go anywhere with it. It's a very different act, and it's different for him from what he normally does as well. So if people wanted that difference, then I think I'd be happy to go with him anywhere. It's very different. I just let him do what he does, and I'll do like a couple here and there. It's not about me. I'm a proper manager. It's about the guy. I stand back. If you notice all the photographs are behind. So I'm happy to work as if I can get a few matches a year managing the Brill, I'm happily to go for the next 20 years.
Excellent to hear it, man. And that's what we like to see. And the final one, this is a dream scenario, my friend Blanch.
Right. Okay.
You and James, manager and client, against any other manager and client of all of wrestling history. Who would you want that to be facing?
It'd have to be, I think, because we based ourselves like on it and stuff, and we love it watching it and whatnot, and we kind of do promos like it. Maybe Steve Corino and Jack Victory, because they're just brilliant, so entertaining. My dream person to manage against as a manager is Francine, believe it or not.
Oh,
I think anything. I'm a big ECW fan, and I think managing against Francine would be brilliant because I think she was excellent. But no, do I think it's a tough one? What, forever and ever? Anyone that's ever been?
The scope is wild, my friend. Go.
Scope is wild. I'm trying to think who had amazing managers that were Brill. Maybe me and the Brill versus Perfect and Heenan. That would just be amazing. I'd love to do like a weasel suit match one day, like a match like Heenan used to do. I'd love to do that. I like wrestling as a manager, so I'd love to do something crazy like that. I know my role. I know what I can do. I know what I need to do. So anything stupid like that would be great.
Wow.
Or I look like an idiot. I'm more than happy to do that because a lot of people don't like looking like an idiot. I love looking like an idiot. People remember laughter more than moves.
Very true, brother. Very true indeed. And
if I can make the crowd laugh, then I know that they'll go, remember that guy? Yeah. So
you leave them with a memory and a memory, and I'm sure with you and James, one another, it's going to be brilliant all around. Good as gold, my friend. I mean, you know what, Blanch? It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, my friend, have you here on the episode of the Soul Session.
Thank you for having me,
folks. Hey, pleasure, my friend. If you know what you've heard of Blanch and want to see more of his managing career, I'll include a link to his Instagram down below. Click it, follow him, see his journey, and that's the whole shebang. Well, I've already finished my drink, but if you haven't, folks, finish up your drink, put your chairs away, and thank you as always for tuning in for another episode of the Soul Sessions.
Now about the human too, gonna live like animals do. No more laws and no more rules.